Dave, the raw food trucker. How you doing, bro?
How's it going?
Man, I'm doing real well. It's good to see you again, man.
And it is good to see you. My heart leapt for joy when I saw you and Krista today.
We just got together, so I have not had a chance to catch up with Dave, so I'm catching up with him just as you are. And all that he mentioned was that you're on a day number 6 of another juice feast?
Yeah, it just kind of happened. There's this guy up here in Washington State. His name is Jim Cassell. He had a heart attack, and then a year later or so, I may not have the chronology right. Do you want to wait till this ambulance comes past us?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry guys. Anyway, then he had a stroke, and so he was able to bring himself back from the brink of death. And he has what is known up here as a brain meter. I first heard of this guy at Giuliano's restaurant down in Santa Monica. Someone overheard me talking to someone, and they came over and said, "You're from the Seattle area, have you ever heard of Jim Cassell?" I said, "No, I haven't." And he said he's a brain meter guy. He can eat different foods, raw foods, and it'll register in his brain to a degree. So anyway, I have struck up a pretty good friendship with Jim and I. We've been seeing each other every week that I'm home. Usually I'm just here one day a week. And so Jim's been telling me about this product called Barley Max. I'm not trying to sell a product, but the only thing that I have experienced close to it now, because I've been juicing now, let's see, 17 months minus 3, so 14 months, a year and 2 months. My body has just become so attuned to the power of the different juices and the different powders. I've tried them all. And the biggest zing I've gotten was E3 Live blue-green algae. I was down at a Cafe Gratitude in Berkeley, and I downed 9 shots, about a half a small bottle of that stuff. Yeah, and man, I just went zing, so it's like my body went wow. So I've had that to compare it to, and I made a scale of 1 to 100 and put that at 100. So Jim's been telling me about this Barley Max, and he said it's off the scale of his brain meter. So I hadn't tried it, so finally he just said, "Here, Dave, take this, try it for free. If it doesn't work for you, if you don't like it, just give it back to me." He's never done that before. So I took 1 tablespoon of that stuff, and you're supposed to eat it and then drink some water afterwards. That was hard to stomach, by the way. It does not taste good. Anyway, what it is it's dehydrated wheatgrass and barley. It's grown in some of the richest soil found on the planet Earth, and the quality of it is just the highest grade stuff. And it's all dehydrated at under 118 degrees, so all the enzymes in it are live. So anyway, I did that, and then I took some water to get it down. And then about a half hour later, I was just zinging, and then it tells you to drink some water, about 3 or 4 ounces, about 20, 30 minutes later. So I did that, and I could not believe it. I mean, it was off the charts for my body. I have not experienced anything like this. So I decided, well, I'll just juice feast on this Barley Max and see what's going on with it. I mean, obviously, at some point, my body will crash because I need more phytonutrients, minerals, vitamins, beta carotenes, all that kind of stuff. But so the first day I took 2 tablespoons, and man, I had to exercise just to sleep that night. Then the second day I was like, well, this is pretty good. I'll just try and do this again for the next day. So that day I took 4 tablespoons. And then the third day I was like, man, I feel great. This is incredible. So I'll try it again. I took 6 tablespoons throughout the day. This is throughout the day, not all at once. And now I'm just mixing it into my juices. But anyway, yeah, so I've been just Barley Maxing it alone. Today is the first day I've supplemented some juice. Oh, I'm sorry. I did drink 1 coconut juice. I had my last coconut from when we were together last week. So I did drink 1 coconut juice with this. So for the first 5 days, straight Barley Max. And I have never felt better, even on any of the fresh juices.
Oh, so you weren't drinking any juice, just
No,
water?
Just
Barley Max and water.
Barley Max and water.
All right.
For 5 days. Today is the first day, because I'm back in town, and because I'm such a fervent believer in supporting the raw food restaurants. So when I came back into town, I bought all my juices. I went over to Thrive here in Seattle, over to Chaco Canyon, which is a certified organic vegan restaurant. They really have a nice menu. I was just talking to the owner, Chris, and they're going to be adding a lot more to the raw menu because of people like you and me, Dan.
Great. Well, I'm gonna go. Dude, I want some of that barley max. We're gonna have to have a
I
coconut
brought you
barley
some,
max.
Dan. I
Great.
brought you some. It's sitting in
I
the trunk of my
don't
car.
think I've ever tried it. So
You
yeah,
might want to
is
try
that the
it
name
tomorrow. You might not sleep all night.
Is that the name of it, Barley Max?
Yeah, the name
okay.
is Barley Max. It's sold through a thing called Hallelujah Acres, and Jim Cassell sells it.
Man,
so
I hope we
I'll get more
some
information for you guys.
Okay, and we'll put it up on the site then a little bit later. Aside from that, do you mind if we talk about the colonic and stuff?
Oh yeah, no problem at all. Dan and I were having a conversation a little bit earlier because I had one stool, one bowel movement on the first day on the Barley Max, and then I haven't had anything since. Haven't had any, so if I don't have another bowel movement here in the next couple days, because I don't want a lot of bacteria building up, and I don't want stuff to get stuck in my intestinal system, especially the lower part of the colon. That's where you want your vitamin B to be absorbed. I'll probably end up going over to a place up here called the Tummy Temple and get a colonic, a hydrocolon therapy.
You feel like the colonics have been pretty beneficial in your course?
Yeah, they've been a major part in the juicing, because once I get into the second week of juicing, I'm usually getting a colonic, because I just want to make sure that everything's running through me. There's not any bad bacteria going on.
Do you feel better when you're after a colonic?
Yeah, actually, I do quite a bit.
Noticeably better?
The longer I'm in this, the more noticeable it is how I'll put it to you. When I first did it, it kicked off my third eye. It was quite something. I had this vibrating on the inside of my skull right here, and I didn't know what it was. I'd never even heard of a third eye. And so I went out there and I asked the gals, hey, what's with the vibrating in the head? Does that happen? And, they must have been thinking, hey, you idiot, your head's vibrating, okay. But they just kind of looked at me and they said, well, no, it hasn't. And then I ended up about 2 weeks later reading one of Matthew Monarch's books. And basically the same similar thing happened to him. His third eye opened up on a colonic.
Cool. Well, I gotta say, Dave, and I think everyone's gonna agree with me, dude. You are glowing, dude. I saw your head when I looked into the restaurant window, and it was like a ball of light.
Dude, thank you for saying that.
Man.
I've gotten like 15 comments from everybody that knows me up here, that sees me every week. Almost everybody at Chaco Canyon and almost everybody at Thrive all made these comments about how I'm looking.
Make me want to start
I just
eating
feel so
better.
good.
I don't know how I can start eating better.
You can't eat any better, Dan.
Well, then what can I do? I want to be like you, dude, a glowing ball of light. There was some people that are interested in, a lot of people have been getting a hold of me, Dave, and they're interested in the skin. Like you were 411 pounds, so this is almost 200 pounds later.
Yeah.
Is your body, are your cells staying tight with the fat loss?
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. As a matter of fact, I'll share with you a story. I went to a cutter. I call them cutters. Anyway, they do the. I needed to,
cutters.
Yeah, exactly. You need to get your skin lifted. What are those guys called? Plastic surgeons. So anyway, I went to a couple of them to get some idea of what I needed to do. Of course, they both wanted to start cutting on me right away, which wasn't happening because I want to get my body to the point where actually, if it does need cutting and I need some skin removed, then I'll do it then when my immune system is at its peak. I don't want to do it before then. But anyway, one of them, the second one I went to, I said, well, I've lost 178 pounds in 16 months. He just looked straight at me and said, no, you didn't. I was just like, what are you talking about? Why would I say something like that to you? And he goes, well, how much weight have you honestly lost? I said, 178 pounds in 16 months. And he was like, I have seen so many people come through my office and 150 pounds and above of the skin is halfway down to their knees. And you were nowhere near that. I was just like, I didn't have an explanation for him. It wasn't until after I left I started thinking. And then there's a raw food chef named Mary over at Thrive, and she asked me that question too. And then she brought up that the skin is an organ just like all the other organs. It's probably just getting healed up, just like everything else this green juice has done for me.
So your cells are getting tight. So that gives hope to everyone who keeps talking to me, asking me that question. I want you to know that in Dave's personal experience, his skin is following right along with the fat. And I think the only way I've ever seen this happen in my lifetime is with the raw foods.
That is almost a quote as to what that plastic surgeon said.
Well then, Dave, We got a jet. Our 10 is up. You look great. Thank you so much, man.
Great. Remember, we're not trying to give medical advice here, people. I'm just telling you what's happened to me.
Thanks, Dave.